There are some pretty strong views on this. I don't need to tell you that. The RSPC says, and I'm quoting here, the trade is unfixable, inherently cruel. It says the animal welfare issues with live sheep export have been evidenced, they say, by contemporary animal welfare science. They say that's happened time and time again, and that the only way to remove those risks is to actually stop exporting sheep. The government seems to be accepting that. Have you had meetings with the government, with the Agriculture Minister about this? Are they open to reversing this decision, or do you think it is a done deal?
The ag sector is definitely standing united on this and meeting with key people to have these tough discussions. The Livestock Collective is really passionate about sharing information. We've been running vessel tours and have invited the RSPCA numerous times to come see for themselves the changes and understand the more current science and the impacts that this will have on the WA sheep industry and more broadly this whole supply chain. This is an industry that is known worldwide for setting, global standards in animal welfare. We are exporting animal welfare around the world. We are improving standards in the importing countries. It would really be disappointing for Australia to remove itself from this market. There are millions of sheep exported internationally, and there's a lot of demand for chilled and live. It's not as simple as saying we can have one or the other. They are synergistic, especially for Western Australian farmers, and it helps us manage animal welfare here in WA, where we can move sheep at certain times of year to manage land and manage animals.
And you just mentioned some of the challenges there, but what is the answer to people who say, well, the trade should just be chilled? We shouldn't export live animals on these ships halfway around the world. What are the hurdles on that front?
The reality is our importing markets and the demand will be sourced from other countries. We are forcing leakage, essentially, of that demand to another supplier. So we can stay part of the industry, and I'm passionate about seeing further improvements internationally in standardising animal welfare, or we can remove ourselves and we're not necessarily going to increase our chilled or box meat. These countries they're demanding live for their food security, for their cultural and religious purposes, and that's their sovereign right to do so. We can do it, and Australia can do it with some of the best animal welfare standards in the world.
So, Holly, as someone who's worked in this industry for several years, what impact do you see it having on jobs, on livelihoods? And it is mainly Western Australia, I think, that we're talking about here, if the Albanese government does follow through on these plans to phase it out altogether.
It'll have a huge impact on WA, and I think the lack of security and I suppose the government's decision will, I think, push people to move away from livestock, which is, really important to WA, that we have people investing in pastures and soils and land management, and sheep in farming systems allows that. So I think it'll have more people moving to cropping and a net decrease in, jobs and incomes and, that rural community in the southwest, particularly of WA, which is set up. The supply chain's been servicing the Middle East for 40 years, and the wool and the meat sheep industry, and our truck drivers, our shearers, our stock people, our fodder mills will all be significantly impacted by this decision.
Yeah, so one estimate suggesting that some 3,000 jobs would go if this does happen, which is still several years away, but certainly interesting to look at the challenges and hurdles in the meantime. Holly Ludeman, really appreciate you bringing your insights to the table. Thanks so much.
Thank you.